and good afternoon, everybody. It is 1 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. I'm John Russell. I am stuck at home, and today I'm stuck at home with Susie Saccoman. And
Yay!
she is here live on her front porch in her hammock. My gosh, you look very comfortable. That's awesome.
Isn't this so nice? I love having this hammock.
It really looks like it's a sturdy hammock too.
Yeah, it's from the Outer Banks. My
Oh,
my boyfriend sent it to me for my birthday a year ago, and because he lives in Houston, my ex-boyfriend came to install it.
well, that's an interesting life. well, well, folks, if you don't know Susie Saccoman, Susie is a comedian. I've had the opportunity to work with her a couple of times, I believe. She is a teacher, and she also is a chef. And we're going to talk a little bit about all of those things, I think, today.
Home cook.
Well, you know what though? You're not just a home cook because you almost got on MasterChef, didn't you?
Oh yeah, how'd you know that?
Because I follow people that I work with people, and then I follow stuff, and then I remember stuff for the rest of my life.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
you went down. You went down and tried out. There's my mother. Good afternoon, Mom. There's Peggy Miller.
Oh.
Hello, Peggy. Thank you for looking in. You went down to Chicago, right? Or you did? Now let me ask you, because I think if I remember right, you tried out for MasterChef twice.
I think I actually had like 3 live interviews, 3 years, 4 years. One was a video, but the best one was the one when I traveled to Chicago, and it was so awesome. I was so hopeful, but it's like they go to like 11 cities and see about 1,000 people in each of those cities. And then when they make their selection, I think, how TV is, John, they kind of have to pick, who's going to be the crazy one or the.
Yeah.
But I had a great time, and I really thought, because you have to cook, or you have to, the judges taste your food, and then almost everybody after that goes home. But then they pick, they'd ask like 5 of you to go to the next round, and then they continue that all day. And when I went, I got all the way to the end, all of the rounds, which so at the end they said, we'll be emailing you before Thanksgiving, and if you don't hear from us, try again. I never did hear.
So they didn't give you any kind of feedback as to what you could do to maybe improve for the next time.
No, they didn't, but they loved my gnocchi, and I was wearing my Statue of David apron. I thought at least that would maybe stand out.
See, I think the thing is, you probably should have threatened somebody.
I know, or at least
I don't just, no matter what it takes, I will choke that guy right there if I can get on the show. I'll choke him. I choke him right now, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is the crazy one. We need her."
Yeah, that's true. Like really do something that would be a spectacle.
Yeah, because isn't there always just one crazy one that's like, you think, how did they even think that this person would get along with other human beings?
Yes, and they want to do that add that to the drama.
And that's just it. It's typically it's all just drama.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep, it is.
Gosh.
I would have loved to have been. I think that show particularly would have been really, really challenging. But I've auditioned for the Food Network Star and Cooks versus Cons. I had a Skype interview once, and all have been just really positive, really great experiences. But my mom is so sweet. Frankie Saccoman, shout out to her. She's like, I just don't know how you do it, Susie. You just never give up. I would have given up a long time ago.
That's how mothers are.
Yeah.
That's how mothers are. So, I'm curious. Have you ever thought about maybe throwing the game and trying to get on Worst Cooks in America?
Well, no.
Because that's all drama.
I know, but I don't like. I'm a competitive cook, man.
Well, I understand. Yeah, I mean, I see that show and I watch that because I just can't believe those people are so dumb.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of that Burrell chick.
Oh, you're not?
Sorry, Anne.
Well, okay. Maybe just,
what I like
beef.
What I like about the Food Network Star is the end of it. What you get is a pilot.
Oh
So,
yeah.
that would be so
And
awesome.
and honestly, I really like watching that show, only because it's neat to see how they progress.
It is.
Um, and I think who's the most famous one that came out of that? I think it was Damaris, right?
No, Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri was on that one.
Most people don't know that, but he sure was, and he didn't even apply. His friend, a friend of his, sent the application in for him because he believed he'd be so great. Yep.
Oh my gosh! And now how many shows does he have over there? Three,
Yeah,
two or three. He's just yeah. Gosh, and he was on John Krasinski's Good News a couple of weeks ago.
you don't see
Uh,
him cooking too much though. I,
no, not
I don't
anymore.
want to give him shit for that. He was always like, "Oh, this is so good, I could put it on a flip flop." He's
Well,
a
maybe.
professional eater, the lucky dog.
All you need to be is a good figurehead. I know a couple of comedians who have done food shows. Did you ever meet Josh Denny from Minneapolis? Do you know who he is?
No.
He's originally from Austin. He had a show about I think it was Big Bites or something like that. That I don't know how many episodes, but that was on Food Network, and that was
That
actually
sounds
pretty good.
familiar.
He would go and get big food. Maybe it was called Big Food. I can't recall, but it was funny. But I feel like comedians are naturals if they know enough about food, because they can make everything that much more fun.
Yeah, you know what's so awesome is I think my three passions of teaching, performing, and cooking, they all marry together so well. I mean, my students, like essentially today's day, they can't they're not as engaged and they're not as motivated. So my performing skills come in handy. Um, and then I cook with my kids a lot, and so even the kids that are the struggle the most with learning cooking just helps some of those really challenging kids just thrive. So it's so cool to see.
Yeah. Hi, Rebecca. Thank you for looking in. We appreciate it very, very much. So, let's talk a little bit about the pandemic. As a school teacher, you were going along your merry way, and all of a sudden the schools are closed. That throws you into kind of a uncharted waters, didn't it?
Yeah, all of us for sure.
And so Dan Bublitz, yeah, absolutely, Dan. I'm right there with you. I know more about it now since this pandemic's going on too. Um, so,
Those are the kind of people I love to cook for.
oh gosh, yes. Well, I know you were trying to make Mark Poulos and I all sorts of meals for our Live from My Garage show.
I know before this came out, I was really getting close to setting a date.
I know
But
we were.
back, the teaching question is, that's the thing, is my career is so, oh my gosh, it's really, really hard and overwhelming. So this has been a nice change for me.
And so for people that don't know, you teach in a what's the word I want to use?
Really, the lowest socioeconomic community in Minneapolis, one of them. Teach in a high poverty area, yeah.
Yeah. And so that makes it even more difficult, because not only are you the teacher, but you're also, to a great degree, kind of a social worker, mother, to all those kids. And I know you from just a little bit that I know of you. You really take that whole thing to heart. In fact, you were just go ahead and tell everybody what you did all day yesterday.
Well, that is a testament to my wonderful parents and my co-teachers' parents. They donated $500 between the two of them, and so my co-teacher and I met at Sam's Club, and we made 22 fun food bags with all kinds of great things for the families, and we successfully delivered all 22 bags, and it was a very, very beautiful. It was so nice to see the kids, and just outside, we met outside, gave them their bags. There were a few hugging There was some hugging. Not gonna lie, but when one of my autistic students barreled into my belly and hugged me and said, my teacher," I wasn't gonna push him away.
Of
So
course. Oh my gosh.
it was really, really special. And like I posted on Facebook, I sometimes, it's kind of stupid that we hesitate to share something like that for fear of, you know, bragging or whatever, and it's not that. And it's like, I'm sharing this was really special. And but there are so many teachers, they're doing so many things, and we were just great. We were grateful to get the donations, and then we didn't have to be online all day, so we drove around. One of my students' moms, she sent us with a to go lunch of right out of the fryer, homemade taquitos
Oh my
and
gosh.
salsa, and that was so nice. It was just really great.
Is it okay that he is skipping school for this? He wants to know, Billy Holmes.
I say, hell yeah. John, I'm known as the, let's see. What do my kids say? What else do you do? And I'll say anything they tell me not to do.
Oh my gosh. So, you're also in the teaching, because we've talked about this a little bit. Every school district is a little bit different in how they're dealing with this, and so what you're doing is you're teaching the kids, and you're actually doing a live kind of chat kind of thing with them a couple of times a week.
Yeah. Yep. We have what's called Google Classroom, and we can post assignments on there, and we're all learning. Every week I'm doing things better and easier and more interactive and whatever. But then, 2 days a week we meet live for classroom. But we play a game and we connect and we ask questions. And who has assignment? Does anybody have questions on their assignment? But for me, it's mostly about fun and connecting and making sure that they know that we're there for them. And they have to, even just with a summer vacation, a lot of our kids come back to school and they're like, what's 2 plus 2 again? So this is a long time to be away from school. So we really do want so much for them to get, Minneapolis delivered, they're called Chromes or laptops to all of our students who didn't have them. I mean, my administration, my assistant principal, people worked so that every kid has the device and has delivered hotspots. So that took time. So some of them are just getting on.
Absolutely. There is the
Rock is right. Totally right.
If you're not wearing pants, I need to get you off of here.
Just kidding. I'm wearing
pants. Yeah, well, I wasn't going to check.
Otherwise, my neighbors would have a view of mine.
It's always great to see you, Rox. Thanks for looking in. Appreciate it. So that's school business, and that was chef business. Now let's talk about comedy. Because how long have you been doing comedy, Susie?
The first time I ever did stand-up was in Fargo. And I went to Concordia Moorhead, and I was a junior in college, and my dear girlfriend was, she worked at this spaghetti shack, this cool little place in downtown Fargo on Broadway, and she was cleaning up because it was like 3 a.m, and she was cleaning up. She was the last one on her shift, and I was like, instead of helping her, I was I started monkeying around on the microphone because the owner there had after hours entertainment and whatever, and so I was messing with her by doing stuff on the mic while she was finishing up, and I didn't realize her New York owner was in the back, and he came out, and long story short is he put me on his lineup for the next weekend. And I think most comedians will tell you their first show, I hear this a lot, the first show I ever did in front of a live audience, it was just, out of the ballpark fun, and so you get hooked and you think, oh, I'm unstoppable. By next week, I'm going to be on the A-list.
Yeah, I was exactly the opposite. My first time, I was terrible. Blamed it all on the audience. And And the next week when I came back, I'm like, nah, I'm not changing anything. Went up, did the exact same material, got the exact same result, was pissed again. Said, those people are so dumb. I know this stuff is good. I know it is good. And went back a third time. And when I came back this time, I didn't change a thing. Had a rough start. And then in the middle, I bailed and just did cartoon impersonations. And they all loved that. And then I was really mad because it's like, that's nothing. That's just crap. You guys are laughing at crap. So anyway, that's how it worked out for me. Do you remember? Now I know you've done a lot of shows for Rox Tarrant, who is just said hello to us.
Yes, she's just been my biggest supporter and mentor throughout the years. Gave me most of my work for sure.
Absolutely. And do you recall what the last show you did was before all of this happened?
You know, I would say like I think it was either at Carboni's in Cottage Grove, which by the way is so fabulous. We were going to have one we were supposed to work with me and Rox and Mark Poulos and Steve Smith at Carboni's this Saturday, but of course can't. But it was either that or it might have even. I do a lot of comedy for the educators in Minneapolis,
sure.
And I did a show for my hometown, Buell, Minnesota. For the whole town, it was outside. So I can't remember if it was Carboni's or if it was Buell, but
gosh, outside shows, those are how much fun are those?
Well, I was scared to death. I thought there's no way, this is kind of it's when you're outside, you want to listen to music, but it was my hometown and they all just came right up and they were so attentive for those 40 minutes. And
oh, that's awesome.
It's really great.
That's fantastic. So, have you done any of these virtual open mics or anything like that? Or you're probably too busy teaching, huh?
Sometimes comics, I admire comics who have dedicated their careers to going out there. I always dreamed of being a performer, but I ended up going to college and thinking I better have a career, an education. My dad really wanted that. And, but I admire the effortless work and road dogging and all that. But what comics don't know about those of us, at least I'll speak for myself, is I don't do comedy every weekend, having been a teacher. I started off doing that when I was younger and more energetic. But I truly do hone in on my craft as a teacher consistently too. It's I know that all of those things help me be better at, teaching helps me be better at performing, and performing helps me be better at teaching. And so now I forgot the question.
That's okay. I don't remember what it was either.
Screw it.
So I think the I know one time that I got to work with you. It was we were working for Rox up in Alexandria, and I believe it was a New Year's Eve show. And you and I and Mark Poulos and Jeff Bergs was on the bill as well. I think that was it. I think it was us four. And
yeah, if Rox is still in, I can't. She'd be mad at me if I forgot that name of that place because
the Broadway Ballroom.
Oh yes, because that's such a great group of people that come out to those shows and support Rox's shows.
The part I like best about that show and first of all, the audience is very well trained. Rox knows how to put on a show. And I know she's not doing nearly as many as she has in the past, but she knows how to do it. That's one thing that you never forget how to do. The other thing was that it was early enough that it was over, and I didn't have oh my gosh, it's 4:00 in the morning. It was like we were done, and it was I'm like, I can go watch the news if I want to. You know?
in our nice, comfy rooms. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an example of a really comfortable, pleasant evening.
Oh, it's so nice because you just get to walk right across the parking lot
I
and get into the hotel.
know.
That's one of the best. One of the best. Um, so in you said when you were in Moorhead, you just got up and started monkeying around. Did you have like? But you must have thought about doing stand-up comedy prior to that, right? I mean, what kind of made you think about it?
No, I never thought of stand-up comedy. I love performing since I can remember. And John, the first I'll say that a lot of people who know me know the story that when I was in fourth grade, I did an act. I was Susie Snowflake, and
Mm,
it was the whole town, and I'll never forget it as long as I live because was something so easy for me to do and so natural. I brought so much joy to those faces in the audience, and I just knew I've always been such a dreamer, and I want to be on stage, I want to be in Broadway, I just want to, so I always thought that I would graduate high school and I was going to go to New York and be a nanny and then audition until I hit it big.
yeah.
But then like I said, I ended up getting my teaching career, and that was what was meant to be. But I started in college, and I got hooked. I have that New York owner of that spaghetti shack to thank for believing in me enough to put me on
Yeah.
stage and right away. And then I performed for my whole college. And then when I got back from Africa, I even did comedy in Africa,
Oh
for
my
goodness
gosh, what
sake.
was that like?
Well, I did it at my school for a
Oh, okay.
fundraiser, and so it was staff and families and kids, and my students were the hosts, and we raised money to go to go on a field trip. But it was great; they loved it, um, and and then when I got back into Minneapolis, that's when I started. I started at Acme, and
Yeah.
that's where I started trying to get into the circuit, but
Yeah.
also all while having this very demanding full-time career.
Absolutely. It's amazing. It really is. So, how did you run into Rox? And I should see if Rox is available to do one of these shows with me too, because
Oh my gosh,
obviously
yeah.
a legendary figure in Minneapolis comedy and Minnesota comedy. I should have you on, Rox, if you're still looking. I want to get a hold of you to do that. But how did you end up meeting Rox, Susie?
At Acme, I believe.
Okay.
I remember she was 86. and I really had a great time doing open mic at Acme, and she first offered me a $25 guest set at the Phoenix Playhouse. You remember that,
Oh
John?
yeah.
Yeah, she gave so many countless people such great stage time, and uh I'll never forget when I got $25 for I'm a paid comic now,
Yeah.
and oh, she just said, "Call me, baby." She likes to be a trollop, John, so watch out for her. And she gets feistier, with every passing year. Um, so yeah, I met Rox. She asked me to perform at Phoenix Playhouse, and then we kind of became really, she and I and Jody Maruska and so many people, Diane Ford. There's like late night women comedy. She gave me so many opportunities,
Yeah.
and it's such a great experience.
I recall there was one New Year's Eve, and I can't remember which one, but oh, here we go. Hot Rock's Late Night Laughs.
We
That
had big divas, big laughs, big fun.
Oh my gosh. I mean the thing that was most impressive to me, and I'm just going to say this because I want to be talking to you, but the thing that most impressed me about Rox is one New Year's Eve she had 9 different shows around the state of Minnesota, which means she was employing at least 27 different comics. And the thing about Rox always paid the comics
Every single
very well,
time, yes.
very well. And
Still
and
does,
and
yep.
so and I badly want to talk with her. Anyway, So
Yes.
speaking of rocks, she's one of the good ones, right? One of the
Yeah.
good ones. In everybody's comedy career, we run across what we call hell gigs. Have you had any that you recall and say, "Oh my God, that was the worst"?
I would. I'm sure I have. I just the what comes to mind right away was when I was in Twin Cities Funniest Person and at Acme, and you know how those rounds go, where you get a round. One week you do a round, and then whoever wins goes to the next week, and then the next week you're in the second round, and whoever wins goes to the final round. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yep.
So I just, and I was fresh meat. I was totally new. And the first round, I mean, nobody could touch me. Bam. Second week comes. Woohoo! I won again. I was just so excited and so proud of myself and on this high. And then the third week was the final round. You're up for the $1,000. And when you're like 27, it's like, holy cow, that could retire me, And I just bombed the shit out of that final round. and I knew you're just timing. Your timing is just off, and it was horrible. I'm surprised they didn't throw tomatoes at me. And that year, of course, I had everybody in my life at the time because I'm just sort of new to the Minneapolis circuit. So all my family and all my friends, and they're at the third round because I'm going to win because I just killed the first 2 weeks. And then everybody in my life who's there, and I'm like, I couldn't get a laugh if I paid somebody and showed my cleavage. It was so bad. Oh. That was the worst hell gig for me because I remember it being really. But we get back up, don't we?
We do, and it was. But the thing about that was that it was an important show to you too. So that's probably why you remember it even more, right?
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. Do you recall who won that year?
Brenda Elsiger.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
Another awesome person.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's fantastic. But at least you lost to somebody that you deserve to lose to. If I say it in the proper way. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah. It's true.
Not trying to throw shade, but Brenda's an awesome person.
Yes.
All right. So there we talk about the hell gig, the one that you like. Let's talk about.
I'll just say quick that Bill Bauer and I, we drove in 30-degree below weather with a window of his that was covered with plastic, and we both smoked about 2 packs of cigarettes. And when we got to whatever gig that fucking was, there were bats flying all everywhere. I'm like, what the hell am I on candid camera? There's bats inside of here,
Oh my gosh.
They kept flying down at me through my whole thing.
You bring up Wild Bill Bauer, who, God love him, gave me the worst birthday present ever. Died on my birthday.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. And I was and unfortunately for me, he just started taking me with him and doing stuff. And one of my favorite memories is that he wanted me to go out to Dickinson, North Dakota with him. And we had to leave at like 6 in the morning because it's forever to get to Dickinson, right? And I can tell that he's starting to get tired because he's starting to, we get up by Bismarck and he's starting to swerve a little bit. And I'm like, hey, Bill, I would be more than happy to drive if you want me to. And he just says, oh, no, I just need to pull over and get a hamburger. What the hell? A hamburger? How about a cup of coffee? A hamburger?
Don't you think that'll make you a little sleepier?
I mean, for me, it's like I get food and I go to sleep. I'm just getting a hamburger. Anyway, so let's talk now about the absolute best you ever felt doing a comedy show. Your greatest high in comedy.
Oh, it would have been there were so many, just because not just from the.
Whoops, we lost your mic, Susie.
Uh-oh.
There we go. We're back.
Oh, okay. It's hard because there's so many just of the people I've worked with and the wonderful people I've met, and just so there's so many. But when I have to say, John, aside from my hometown reunion, which was very recent. Okay.
That's me. That's me. That was me. We're good.
Oh,
I apologize.
that's
What
right.
happens is every once in a while I get a little glitch in my internet, and it's like take a little pause, but you're still there and we're still going. So
Okay. Yeah, so aside from my hometown reunion, which I'm a huge proud member of the Buell Bulldog community. I in 2014 I was asked to perform at the Mariucci Arena at the U for all 4,000 Minneapolis educators.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, John, I'll never forget it as long as I live, because um, it was, I've never been so scared in my whole life. So if I have all of my dreams of ever being on, doing comedy for Johnny Carson, so I imagine that's how I would have felt like backstage before
Oh
the
yeah.
kickoff started. But they had me come into the district office to view some video footage. They asked me, they called and they heard I did comedy and they wanted me to do it. So I showed them some video footage and I told them some jokes and they were like hands down. And then they said they wanted me to do my pimp and hoe story.
Oh.
And I said, because it's true and whatever. I said, yeah, I'm thinking that one's probably not, people are pretty politically sensitive or political correctness, and I didn't want to do that one,
Yeah.
and but they wanted me to, but I totally didn't. I think I have pretty good instincts. But then what ended up happening is uh, the the time that I had up there, I'll never forget it, because it was like what I've always wanted from my performing career is what we all want, I think, is to really speak to people and touch them and make them feel, good. And when I was done, all of my colleagues in that arena just stood up, and for days I got emails, and I had teachers coming from other schools with flowers, and it was a real high. It was a real marriage of my two loves of teaching and comedy.
That's fantastic. I mean, it really is when you think about it. You get to do what you love for the peers in the other side of what you love. That's
Right.
that's not a lot of people get to do that. That's pretty cool.
Someone did end up emailing the same people who interviewed me, and they were offended by my Yaya story.
So
And then these guys wanted me to do the pimp and hoe joke. And so those guys who interviewed me, they ended up putting out an email saying our kickoff was such a fantastic success. They did this thing about the kickoff, this review, and then the paragraph about the comedian, they wrote, we apologize for anybody who was offended. And that's why the outpouring of emails and delivery of
oh
flowers came, because it was, how the politics are,
yeah.
one minute I was on this high, and then the next minute I was like, that is so unfair. But then on the third end of it was the outpour of support. So it was all a really great experience.
Oh my gosh. Well, I gotta tell you, you had brought up the pimp and whore story. Or pimp and hoe.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My mom's watching. But you brought that up, and I feel like at this point, if you don't do that, it's gonna, like, everybody's gonna be disappointed, because they want to. I mean, it's like now it's an integral part of that awesome story of yours.
I I'm happy. You know what's so nice about it is that all the stories I tell on stage,
Oh, we lost your mic again.
all the stories got me.
Yeah, Yep.
All the stories I tell on stage are true. So I'm I'm elated to share it with you. Do you know it, John?
I. So here's the thing. I'm sure you did it when we worked together.
I don't always. I don't know. Like you
I.
probably know the poop story.
Yeah. I remember Yaya.
Yeah, can you imagine being offended by the Yaya joke?
Well.
Class every single day, and you just keep your mouth shut. I'll give you an A. So next day comes, Keenan is quiet, and I am in heaven. So all things are going well. Then October comes, and I'm thinking, I know. I always tell say to the audience, don't judge me that I told him he didn't have to do anything. I had to buy some time.
Yeah.
And so in October comes and he sees a comedy poster by my desk because I usually bring them for staff to see, and he picked it up and he goes, "Miss Saccoman, you do stand-up comedy?" And I said, "Wow, I appreciate you asking me a question without using the word bitch." And I said, "Yeah, I do. And can I come and see you?" And I said, "Absolutely, under no uncertain terms." And so he's like, "Miss Saccoman, can I tell you a joke?" And I said, "No." I have all these students. I'm ready to start class, and he won't stop. And Miss Saccoman, it's fine. It's not bad. Can I just tell you one joke? And I'm like, oh, I didn't like. I always get in trouble, John. I mean, with any building I've ever been in, mostly I get in trouble with my administration. And I just knew, I just didn't have a good feeling. But then he wouldn't let up, and so I'm finally like, okay, fine. Can you just do it quickly? So, and he was sitting across from me at this table, and so he looks at me and he goes, "Okay, there's two hoes and a pimp." And I stopped him. I'm like, "Oh no, don't say a pimp and hoe joke, because I'm an employee of Minneapolis Public Schools." And he just was really confused. He's like, there's nothing else. It's not bad. And I'm thinking, okay, I might have an opportunity to connect with this kid. So I'm going to let him tell the joke. So I planted this other kid by the door. And I said, "Could you just wave if you see anybody coming?" And so I'm like, "All right, Keenan, just kind of hurry up, right?" And it's the only day of the whole school year that class was quiet, listening to Keenan's freaking joke. So he goes, "All right, there's three hoes and a pimp." And the pimp goes up to the first hoe and he says, "You owe me $400. And the hoe's like, "I thought it was just $300. And the pimp's like, "Don't correct me." And the pimp goes up to the next hoe and he says, "You owe me $500. And the hoe's like, "I thought it was just $400. And the pimp's like, "Shh, don't correct me." And the pimp goes up to the third hoe and he says, "You owe me $600. And the hoe's like, "I thought it was just $500. And the pimp's like, "Don't correct me." And so Keenan looks at me and he's like, "Miss Saccoman." The pimp goes up to the fourth hoe and I'm like, "You said there were only three hoes." And he's like, "Don't correct me." Oh my God, John, I freaking laughed so hard because I just wanted the joke to end. And
Oh my God.
he got me so hard. And I just I was laughing. I had tears in my eyes. And the stupid kid at the door was laughing, so he didn't realize when my freaking principal walked in.
Oh.
No, you'd think the principal would have been concerned because I looked like I was crying or in distress. But right away, he's like, "Miss Saccoman, what's the problem here?" And I just composed myself. I'm like, "I'm so sorry, but Keenan just told the greatest pimp and hoe joke." And I always tell my audience that from that day forward, Keenan and I were tight, and he graduated from 8th grade that year, top of his class in reading. And it was all because of the pimps and hoes.
That's awesome. That is such a great story. And I love the fact that it's true.
Thank you.
So he was 8th grade? That's what you were teaching 8th grade?
He was, yep. He's
Oh my
long
gosh.
graduated now.
Oh my gosh. So do you is he a kid that you kind of were able to follow up with at all or no?
He is one of the as there, sometimes you have such close thing connections, and he is somebody that we did lose touch, but I'm
Mm.
still in touch with Yaya and
Oh my God.
my Namibian students and
It,
lots of kids.
it's so cool. And that's one of the things you were talking about with so and I don't want to have you say any date or year or whatever, but you were teaching in Namibia, which is even a whole nother story. Because I'm sure that was absolutely fascinating to be teaching in Africa. But
It was 94, so it was only a few years after their independence.
mm,
And I gotta say, like, I can't even say enough to you how that country touched my life forever. They were wonderful. And I taught at an international school, so my very first year teaching was 13 fifth graders from 3 of them were local, and then 10 of them were from 10 different countries.
oh wow! And so the was English was the teaching language.
At our school, yes, was international school. And most people in Namibia at that time and still now spoke English, but they largely speak Afrikaans,
Mm.
and then they have all kinds of other languages, depending on what background you come from. Like one of my students' fathers, he and I became really close and close friends, and his language had clicking, so
Oh,
he taught me how to say, in his language it's called Damara, and
okay.
if you say I love you, you say Ngam Sitagea. So there's clicking in there.
Oh wow.
But I did learn Afrikaans pretty well, and I learned it from a very slang perspective. So the whites in Namibia, I taught with white South Africans, and they had a very proper way of speaking Afrikaans. And it was so new. Independence was so new that they were, I don't know, they're a little sketchy on their beliefs.
Yeah.
And then when I would speak Afrikaans, because I was so proud of learning the language, they would say to me that I'm speaking it so ugly. And of course, I learned all the swear words, so I'd just tell them to go fuck a shark or whatever.
That's what you learn when you learn a new language. That's the first stuff you learn.
Well, in my dialect, I was a white American who spoke Afrikaans like a somebody who was not a white South African.
Gotcha.
So it sounded, like almost like an American white person speaking Ebonics.
Okay.
It probably
Or
sounded weird to them.
yeah, yeah. Well, that makes sense. That
But
makes
I
sense.
appreciated that about Namibia, that they didn't. Like one time I went to school and the secretary said right out to me, she goes, Miss Saccoman, how come you look so fat today? I'm like, this is how we say thank you in America. But I appreciated their openness about, we're not like that in Minnesota,
Maybe she meant PHAT.
I
You
wasn't
look
thick that.
fit.
She is.
Yeah, it is funny. I mean, and it's got to. I mean, initially it must have been total culture shock for you to go over there, huh?
It wasn't. The shock came when I came back.
Wow.
I must tell you, it was an incredible experience. Everything just slowed down, and everybody embraced me like I had been there my whole life. And it was incredible, and I have my parents to thank for getting me there.
Do you think that the fact that you were a fresh new teacher and ready to kind of absorb the environment helped you with that?
Well, I was madly in love, so I was there with my fiance or my
Oh, okay.
boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I was young. My mom still says, I don't know where you come from. You just adjust to everything, and I'm afraid of everything. So I'm like, it's because of where we grew up and how we grew up.
Yeah.
I always tell people I suffer from high self-esteem, but it's different than being an egomaniac. It's there's something about growing up in Buell and the way my parents raised us to be very just very good, but very self-assured and believe who we are and go for
Mm-hmm.
it.
So does mom still live up in Buell?
Mom and Dad are here in Apple Valley.
Oh, they're in Apple Valley.
They are.
Oh my gosh. So that's cool.
She's going a little stir crazy, John, but
That's what I was going to ask, because I know my mom is down in Des Moines, and she tells me when she gets to go out on her porch, which is nice. She doesn't go out and do anything, and I would assume your parents are probably doing the shelter at home business very, very religiously.
yes, my dad is incredibly vulnerable to this virus, and so my mom goes. She bums around little by little at Walmart and Target and stuff in Apple Valley there all the time, and so my brother and I do the shopping for them, and everybody at Target, they're always like, "Oh, say hi to your mom," So she's being a good sport, but she can't. I think she's so excited. We're gonna all go and sit in their yard on Mother's Day, and I think
that'll be nice.
be really great for her.
That'll be nice. Very, very nice.
And happy Mother's Day to your mom too.
Well, thank you very much, and please pass it on to all mothers.
To all moms.
To all mothers.
And grandma.
Are you doing any? So you're gonna go visit with your mom on Mother's Day? You're not. It's hard to do shows.
It is. I don't know.
Have you thought about doing any online ones?
Well, I have such, of course, your own people on Facebook are so incredibly supportive, and they keep saying, do some more live stuff, Suze. And so I'm trying to, like I said last time, you inspired me to when you said on one of your interviews, I think it was with Karen Pickering, and to be supportive of those of us that love to create. And so yeah. I've been dabbling at writing. I think my passion performance-wise has always been, I've been wanting my whole life to put a one-woman show on stage.
Oh.
And since this pandemic put us all at home, I've never gotten so far on something, on my idea. So yes, I will try to do more live. I've tried it once and I didn't know how to do it. So
yeah, Jenny wonders if you have to be more careful in your shows because you're a teacher.
That's a great question. One would think, right? I'm actually, what is her name?
Jenny Lou Russi.
Jenny, I'm not a very raunchy comic anyway. I don't know. I do have a few risque things, like my mom would say, but if I ever use the F word, it's usually because I'm using it in like third person or whatever. So I am always respectful of that. But
there's Karen.
Hello,
hey, Karen. Thanks for looking in. I would assume that if you're doing a show for the educators, you got to be more careful than if you're doing a show in public, because in public they don't really care if you're teaching, because you're not teaching their kids typically.
Yeah, my career, I did right before the Joke Joint closed. They had me come down and perform for an entire school that was in the audience, and because that was not in a school setting, it didn't have to be 100% clean. So my career can't. Some of my kids will search me on YouTube, my students, and I saw your poop joke. You were drinking a beer. But nothing online there's no bad things online that they can see or.
Yeah, and that's good.
Yeah.
It's always nice, because that's one of the things when young comics are starting, and I don't know if you did this, because it was when you started in the 90s, it was probably harder to put. Dan Bublitz gave Jenny a nice compliment, and it's always great to see you too, Jenny. It's harder to put content up on like YouTube in the 90s, because I don't think it was nearly as prevalent, right? So now, as it becomes easier and easier, the young comics are like, all right, I'm going to put that up. I was just at this open mic. I was just at this show, whatever show, and they put it all up. And the thing you got to remember is sometimes you don't want that up there, because further down the line, and I found this out, and it's a pain in the butt I mean, I had people that were recording me at open mics, and at the time, I think I probably told them, yeah, that's fine. And then come down the line, and I see, like, I did a Christmas party for a group up in Minot, North Dakota, and the guy says, yeah, well, we found this video, and the CEO kind of thought, maybe we don't want to use this guy. And I said, what video? And he sent me the thing, and it was this thing that somebody had taped of me at an open mic, and it was terrible. So then I had to go through all of this stuff to try to figure out how to get it taken down. And
Oh.
it can be, sometimes it can take you a couple of 3 weeks to get stuff taken down.
Hmm.
So
I,
it's just
I only have a
the,
few things up there that are,
well,
thank
yours are
goodness.
good. You're, like you said, you're not raunchy at all.
No, I'm really not. I have a few things that my mom hates, but what are you gonna do?
Whose mom doesn't hate their comedy?
I know.
I mean, let's be honest. my mom, my mom was Miss Charles City in 1957, Miss Charles City, Iowa, and a finalist in the Miss Iowa pageant, and she does not like me to bring that up.
Uh-oh.
She said the other day, because she does these contests, guess what's in the jar? And she said, don't you tell people. Don't you tell them that I was Miss Charles City.
Well, that's
like,
something to be so proud of.
But I'm like, it's too late, Mom. I've been doing it for 4 years now. So anyway, Susie, I can't believe we're almost to the end of an hour.
I know, and here I'm about to log on soon with my students, and they're covered by my co-teacher. But I'm like, oh, that would have been so fun to have them do a hi, but I don't know how to do that. So
yeah, that's technical stuff.
And probably of course, my principal would kill me. You can't do that without a media release, and so.
And I'm not certified, which is very important.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah,
I'm not a certified teacher. I'm a certified whatever I'm doing, but anyway. Point being, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be on with me and let us know what's going on with you, and kind of share the interesting life that you've led to this point.
I cannot wait to make my garage apps for you and Mark when we get through this. I'm telling you, I'm really what a wonderful pair you two are.
Well, you're very kind, and he's one of my pals, and we have a lot of fun together, and
just love him and his wife so much.
Yeah, they're both awesome people. And by the way, just if you want to do live stuff, you can do. Rick Logan does a little happy hour thing every day, and he does it if he wants to, and if he doesn't want to.
Do you know that I just now got on Instagram, but do you know that guy, the Leonard? He's an actor.
No.
He's like this tiny little gay guy who's Southern, and he was on The Help.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So what I love about him is he just, and when I did this live thing on Facebook, I had never done it before, so I just was trying it, and it was ended up being 45 minutes of nothing. But what I love about Leonard is he just says a little thing for a few seconds, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so maybe what I'll do is go on a few times a week and just tell one story, like I just told the pimp and hoe joke. And
I think that's ideal, and I think people would love it.
And I'm fine with 3 people loving it or 300. I don't, what I mean?
Well, that's the whole thing. It's that you get to get out there, and you still get to have a little bit of contact, and people will stop in and say hello.
Yes.
Leslie, that's right.
Leslie, did I not say Leslie?
No, we were trying to figure out his name.
I said Leonard.
You said Leonard.
Leslie, and he's Instagram the Leslie. He's so flippin' cute.
Absolutely is. Well, anyway, Susie, thank you so much, and I just to remind you, I say it every time we do this. I do this show. If you see somebody that's out doing something, please like it, watch it, share it if you can. Help everybody, because we're all just trying to keep afloat here.
We sure are.
For the most part. Tomorrow is our Friday free for all, and Logan Nielsen, Andy Fisher, and I, and I'm going to start bringing in a guest on Fridays, and that's going to be Zach Ashton. Some of you know Zach. He started doing comedy in Minneapolis, and he will be doing comedy, in Rochester, and he'll be doing comedy. Wasn't it? It was awesome. Susie's great.
Thanks, Jenny.
And but tonight I'm going to try doing the first nighttime show, not because of any other reason that I like to have a nap and I'm afraid I might not wake up in time. But at 7 o'clock, I'm going to do a show with my old radio pals, Tracy McRae, Megan Kennedy, and Jeff Cecil. And I think that's going to be really interesting. We got a lot of old radio stories to tell. We all work together in Rochester, Minnesota, which is a hotbed of radio. It really is. And there's, oh my gosh, so many stories to tell, and needles to poke, and I'm excited for that. But anyway, that's at 7 o'clock tonight. It'll be on all the same places you're watching if you are watching. So tune into that. Other than that, Susie, thank you so much again for spending an hour with me. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
And best of luck to you. And thank you so much for really being such a dedicated teacher. It means a lot to all of us, because those kids ultimately are the ones who are going to take care of us. So thank you for doing it.
I'm really lucky. I love it. And I can't wait to start. I don't know about you, but it's like I just want to get out there and hug and lip lock everybody. I'm going to French kiss women when this is all over.
And I'll pay to see it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much again for watching. Check in tonight at 7 o'clock if you can. Otherwise, see us tomorrow at 1. And thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, John. Bye.